So you have just made your AI system using Unity NavMesh and it looks like a few soldiers just marching. So let's fix this. Alright, so here we have, let me just explain the scene. I have these 4 characters, but we are just gonna focus on one and then you can just copy the thing to the rest of the characters. So first we need someone to, follow. So let's create a simple 3D object, cube, and we can just call this one as player and let's just position it. There we go. Now first of all, let's just install our package. Go to here, Unity registry. Make sure your AI navigation package is installed and updated. There we go. Alright, then first of all, we're gonna go to ground and add the NavMesh surface component to it. Now we have these components as well, so we can either just drag and drop this, but as you can see, the colliders and the scales kinda get messed up because, well, our ground have a different scale, as you can see in there. So let's just add a navigation and let's add a NavMesh surface component to this. This basically allows the surface that is connected to be something of a surface on which our AI can walk on. So all of the blue the blue screen you can see in here, our AI agent can walk on. And the reason why even the yellow platforms also got added is because, well, as you can see in here, it says all objects instead of current hierarchy. So if we just change it to current hierarchy and then click on bake, you can see it removes the AI walkable surface from the yellow blocks. Now, in order to do all of this once, we can just clear this and remove the component from the ground, and we can actually just go ahead and create an empty object here. And now just drag, and now make sure to reset all of the position, rotation and scale. There we go. And now we can just drag and drop the ground and all of the cubes that we have. And now we can just turn on static for this, just because why not, and then just add the NavMesh surface. And now we can just say current object hierarchy, and there we go. Now the hierarchy of the child object of the NavMesh surface will only have the NavMesh surface component. Now currently we will just keep the settings how they are, but you can change the surface, the radius a little bit, and just click on bake. And as you can see, the NavMesh surface gets disappeared from the blocks. The reason because, well, the radius is just too much for the blocks to be able to be walk on. Now let's select our character, our enemy character, and add a new component to it, navigation, NavMesh agent. Make sure it's humanoid. And yeah, we're gonna have to, let's change the settings a little bit so the object avoidance is perfect. There we go. Now it's time to create a new script. Here we have a very simple and basic code. We are just taking our NavMesh component and just making sure that its target is our player. And then we just set the agent set destination to our player's position. And it's as simple as that. Make sure that it's correctly tagged. And we can just drag and drop our script to our zombie. And just drag and drop our NavMesh agent as well. Now I just wanna modify these blocks a little bit, just cause, well, why not? And remember, if we just play now, you will see that our zombie just passes through the block because, well, we have to bake the stuff every single time we move any of the ground components. And there we go. Now that it's baked, if we just play again, you can see it takes the scenic route to our player. Yeah, now that's working perfectly, let's move on to the next thing. And by the way, currently you can see that the turning radius is way too small for our zombie, so we can actually just increase the radius in here to something like that and just click on bake, and you can see that the blue squares, the walkable surface gets a bit smaller. Something like this should be more than good enough, and make sure to click on bake. And just like that, now our zombie character will have a better turning radius, and it will not collide with the object. Perfect. Now heading up into Mixamo, we have all the models ready, and remember, all of the models have the same rig. that can be used in all the models, so it's easier to transfer the entire thing. And so I got 3 idle animations and 4 running animations. And remember to select the animation which are almost similar but a little bit different, so they mash up together better. And let's just drag and drop one of the animations into our character, and we will have a new animator component. Let's head over to the animator and let's create a new blend tree. Call it movement, open it up, and we need to create a new parameter. So let's create a new parameter, call it speed, and we're gonna need a couple more parameters here and keep them as float. There we go. Idle index, which will allow us to change between the 3 idle animations, and of course the run index, which will allow us to change between the 4 different animations. Let's create a new blend tree from our blend tree and another one. Call this one as the idle, and the other one can be called as run. There we go. And we can change the parameters here, run index, and of course the idle index. There we go. We can open up the idle tree, and here we can just drop all 3 of our animations. Turn off automatic threshold, and we can just say 0, 1 and 2. Perfect. Let's do the same for the run blend tree as well. Add a new field, add all the animations into that. There we go. Turn off automatic threshold and just say 0, 1, 2 and 3. There we go. Perfect. Now that all the blend trees are done, we need to change one more thing, which is the primary thing in here. We need to turn off the automatic threshold in here as well, and just make sure that the idle is at 0 and run is at 1. And yeah, we are basically done with the animator tree. You can see in here that if we increase the values, the animation changes accordingly. So if we go to 1, you can see. And again, as I said, make sure that the animations are kinda similar but different so that they blend together perfectly. And if we run, we can change the indexes, and yeah, they mash up together nicely. Now let's head back to our code and change a few things here. So first thing first, we have a chase range here, and that's just to make sure that our zombie basically stops when it reaches the player. And here we are just checking the distance to the player, and if the distance is greater than the chase range, the destination for our agent remains the player, and if it's less, then the destination for our player gets to be its own, so it basically doesn't move. Back in Unity, we can just click on play, and as you can see, once our character reaches within some distance of our player, it stops. Nothing major in here, although we can increase the angular speed of our character a little bit, so it basically revolves a bit faster. And before we forget, make sure that our blend tree is our default state, because I've made this mistake a lot of time. Alright, now head back into code, and we have to change a few things now. So yeah, let's just do that. Here we have the code. So we are basically taking reference into our animator, and don't worry about these components here. We're gonna take that into account later, but those are basically just our idle index and run index, but we're gonna take care of that later. Currently we are just doing the animator.setFloat speed as a smooth temp from our speed to 1, which basically means we are just currently changing the speed variable of our animator. So when we are running, it goes to 1, and when we are not running, it goes back to 0. It's as simple as that. And we can just click on play, and as you can see, our animation works well. Although currently it seems a bit offset, so we can take care of that by using the base offset in the NavMesh agent. There we go. Also, the speed variable doesn't really come into account with the speed of our NavMesh. So yeah, the animation speed isn't really coming into account with our NavMesh's speed. So we can decrease it a little bit, because as you can see, the animation kinda seems like it slides a little bit. So we can just decrease the speed to around 2.8, 2.9, and as you can see, there is much less sliding now. So now let's create a new float, call it offset, and we're not gonna use this now, but we are gonna use that in case our say our animation requires some offsets between the animations, that's when we're actually gonna use this. Okay, and here we go. That's all the code. So we are taking the idle index, making sure it's a random number between 0 and 2, because again it returns 0, 1 and 2. And the run index, that changes, goes from 0 to 4, and I'm sorry, I got it for 4. It's actually supposed to be 3, and there I will change it 0 to 3. There we go, perfect. And yeah, we can actually just start the scene. Let's just drag the animator window here so that we can see the different values change on starting, and just click on play. And as you can see, the values remain between 0 and 2 and 3, and yeah, now it's working perfectly. By the way, currently the values are in integer, so we can change that to float by just adding a f in the random.range values. So it now basically goes in between the different types of animations, just like that. And now as you can see, the blend between two animations gives it a more like natural and just a real feeling. And once we actually do all the different types of all the different characters at the same time, it will look even better, because then, well, none of the characters will basically align with the other character, but to some extent, but just not in the correct animator way. So it will look a lot more natural. And if we can just Ctrl D to duplicate all of these characters and just click on play, you can see that they look similar, but they just don't look the same. Like, they look similar, yes, we all know what's happening to them, but we know that they are not same, and you can see the difference in values in here. Now let's just duplicate the 3 animations, the 4 animations, the animators we have, and just drag and drop these onto there so that we have different animators for all the different characters, and the rest of the components can actually remain the same, because well, we don't need to change them. So all we have to do is just copy the component, select the rest 3 of them, and just simply paste them here. As there we go. The same goes for the script. Copy, select them all, and just paste the component here. And by the way, make sure to change the the components in here so that well, it doesn't cause any issues. So there we go, the correct animators and the correct Navmesh agents. And yeah, now as you can see, all the different characters look the same. They look a bit different, but they all appear similar but not the same, and that's the best thing about natural animations. Then now we have a lot more of the same characters, but yeah, now let's just click on play and see what happens. And just like that, as you can see, it appears like a crowd, but it doesn't like actually work as a, like, they don't look like they're just mimicking each other. They look like they're actually, you know, they're actually different stuff, like they're different characters, and that's basically the exact thing that we wanted. And yeah, by the way, you can of course make more, like change a lot of the script. This was just a basic fundamental script to let you know how this stuff works. So yeah, that's actually just about the end of the video. That would be just about it. That's all for now. Cheers, like, subscribe, peace out.